Hi everyone, welcome along to episode 95 of the SFC interviews here with former Stevenage centre-back Ashley Westwood. So how's things, Ashley? And we were just talking there just a moment ago, obviously you're managing out in India at the moment as well. So how's all that going?
No, it's good. Nice to be back coaching again. I had a couple of years off. I've been to India before. After I left England, I was fortunate to work as Michael Appleton's assistant at Portsmouth, and then we done well. We got recruited by Blackpool and done well there, and went on to Blackburn Rovers, and then ironically we got sacked by the Venkies that were Indians, and my name seemed to be in the Indian system because of the Indian owners, and I came to India in late 2013, and I was 3 years full time in India. I was quite successful as head coach, and then moved on to a few other Asian countries in the last 18 months, 2 years because of COVID. I've not done much regards coaching on the grass. I've been doing quite a lot of TV work as an analyst and TV pundit. But decided to get back on the grass, and it's been good from there. Just nice to be out there again.
And how have you found that side of it? Obviously, you mentioned there about the TV analysis sort of side of things. How did you find sort of working in that area?
No, it's been good. I mean, I've actually been doing that for about 7 years, or even alongside my coaching. I was doing it. It's been good. The TV station I work for in India, we have the Champions League, we have the World Cups, we have the Euros. We've had La Liga in the past. We've had Serie A. We're now doing Bundesliga as well. So you get to work in all different fields, different European countries, and obviously you've got the Champions League, and you get to work with good people. We've had Mendieta on, worked with David James quite a lot. We had Louis Sahar in the Euros and the World Cups. Wes Brown's been over before, Robbie Fowler. So you get to work with good lads, good pundits as well. And it's when you're a head coach and you do all your match analysis, you find the TV work fairly easy because you're doing a lot of tactical stuff in your day-to-day job, and then watching it on TV and relaying it back, to the camera is fairly easy, really. So it's been good doing that, but obviously it's not the same as being on the grass and winning a game of football, and that's kind of what you miss when you finish retiring.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, when you came to Stevenage, it was 2008 as well, and the club were managed at that point in time by Peter Taylor, and I'm sure you probably learnt loads off of him, which you've taken into your own career as well in management.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the reason I signed. I was actually playing for Port Vale, which was League One at the time, and I'll never forget. I think we played Leeds in the cup. I think the last game for Port Vale might have been away at Ellen Road, if I remember rightly. Probably wrong, but I think there was 34,000. My first game, I think, for Stevenage might have been Stafford Rangers away, where there was probably about 500. That's mine, 30,000.
Big difference. So, big.
That was a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
But I think I came for Peter Taylor. Obviously, he was an ex-England manager. I think, tells us frequently that he gave David Beckham his armband for England, first coach to do that. But he was good. He was bubbly, good personality. Actually came across him again later on when he came to India. He was coaching a team out here called Kerala Blasters. So I came with Peter, but we didn't have a great time, if we're being honest. The fans will probably remember me more for giving penalties away than playing outstanding football. And we had a good side. We had enough to be more successful than we was, and for one reason or another, we weren't massively successful. And I think Peter resigned at the end of me being there for about 3 months. At the end of the season, he left, and that just changed the dynamic a little bit, really.
Yeah, and of course, you mentioned there about Peter Taylor and the management things there as well. But the fact that Stevenage had gone on, was it the year before or maybe 2 years before that you signed that, Stevenage had won the FA Trophy as well. So did that have any sort of influence in you wanting to come and play for a club that had already been a bit successful and was already on that kind of track?
Yeah, I mean, I'd done well earlier on in my career. I had some good success. I was obviously at Manchester United.
Yeah.
Class of '93 below Beckham and Scholes and all them.
Yeah.
I won the Youth Cup at Manchester United. I went on to Crewe Alexandra for 3 years and got promoted to the Championship with them at Wembley, and then I went to Bradford after that, and we got promoted from the Championship to the Premiership, and another year where we stayed up in the Premiership. And then I went to Northampton, and then really suffered with injuries and started to jump from club to club, really. I think I'd had enough of that. I was living in Northampton at the time, and Peter attracted me to the club, probably dropping down a league or two. I probably thought it would be a bit easier, be a bit more successful. I could bring a lot, and it just didn't quite work out. But certainly the club and a bit of their success that I'd seen and read, obviously as a football player, you want to go to teams and win trophies and compete at the top end of the league rather than the bottom end of the league. And that's what I thought would happen, and it didn't quite work out. And then I obviously left and started to do some other stuff as well.
And then, so one of your first games, I'm not too sure if it was your first or was certainly your first home game, the 5-0 victory over Droylsden. And, that was just some performance, really. I'm not too sure, what you remember about the game or anything like that. But sort of from a defensive point of view, when you've got players like your Steve Morrisons, your Mitchell Coles, you know that they're going to be the ones to put the chances away up the other end. So if you do your job, then more often than not, you'll get the job done and get the 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, that's what was, I think, disappointing, and that was probably the reason why, not that game in particular, but that was the reason why I think Peter resigned, because we had easily a good enough squad to do a lot better. You mentioned a few players there. We had a good, strong defence as well. I think Ronnie, the out and out, probably one of the stalwarts. I've just slipped his name out. He was captain at the time, Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie Henry. Yeah.
Yeah, he was obviously a decent player. I think Mark Harbour was there when I got there as well, central defender who knew that league inside out. We had more than enough. Obviously, that Droylsden game was a good one because it started well and we got a clean sheet. And I obviously had played Premiership. I played probably 200 games in the Championship as well before I got there, and we should have done better. It was just didn't quite work out. And that was unfortunate, but it certainly started with a bit of a bang with that result. I should probably try and remember a few players more. Certainly in the attacking perspective, we had plenty going forward to score a lot of goals. And I actually spoke to Steve Morrison a couple of weeks ago, just before he got the Cardiff.
Yeah,
And, I was chatting to him on that, and I was glad he got that, and Peter as well there as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Steve just in a moment, actually, about that Cardiff role. And the fact that he's obviously, gone in as manager there now. He was working with the academy, wasn't he, beforehand? And, did you see signs of that, that he could go on and be a coach when he was at Stevenage?
Yeah, I think so. I think what happened with Steve was because he played, right towards the end of his career. I don't know if he managed to get to 37, 38, something like that. I know he was getting older when he finished playing, but I think he started to progress into that extension of the manager, certainly at Millwall when he was captain and he was under Neil Harris and Dave Livermore. Ironically, they were both on my pro licence, those two.
Okay, yeah.
And I know he was a bit of an extension of them, and he was probably the link between the players and the management. And then obviously that's the reason why he ended up at Cardiff. I think he followed them in there once he retired to be their under-23 coach. He was always a level-headed lad. He wasn't a massive party boy, and he always enjoyed his football and took his football really serious. So it doesn't surprise me that he's gone on into management, and hopefully he'll have a long career into management. But he's people might remember as a big bustling centre forward, but he's a lot cleverer than he looks. He's a lot more streetwise than he looks. And, a level-headed, nice lad, really. As far as a football club employing a manager, you're safe with him from a character's perspective, and just hope he does well on the coaching side. But I think certainly he took the man management side into his latter playing careers as, trying to organise the troops as a captain and as a player. And that's obviously the next progression is when you go into coaching and you're kind of doing the same thing. Yeah,
100%. And, one of the things that really stands out with Steve when, I think of him as a Stevenage player, obviously he was a fantastic goal scorer, but you could see how focused he was. As soon as he would turn up, he was in the zone. He was focused. He was, straight away his mind was on the game, and it was, you knew what you were going to get from him. And more often than not, that's going to be, a couple of goals.
Yeah, I think I actually he was at Northampton when I was there as a player. He was a young kid coming through. He was an apprentice, and he got released by Northampton, and he went to Bishop's Stortford.
Yes, yeah.
If I remember rightly,
yes.
He left and went there. And I think at that time, he was probably a bit shocked that he got released because he was always a goal scorer. But I don't think he was a natural, talented, hold-up man with his technique. So I think he worked very, very hard off the field that a lot of people wouldn't know. I think even if I remember rightly, he started having sprint lessons and, in the off-season, he was the one going having extra training in the athletics department. So took his career very seriously and rejuvenated himself where he could have slipped by the wayside. So I think that dedication and work ethic into like his own playing career, and obviously produced and sought out a very good career in the end because he worked hard, and that it'll be exactly what he's been doing in the coaching ranks as well. He wouldn't have just picked up the whistle and thought, I can do this. He'll be working very hard, and it probably has worked very hard off the field at all the other stuff that makes you a better manager and a coach. So it doesn't surprise me that he's doing well, and it wouldn't surprise me if he carries on to do well and even better.
No, 100%. And talking about goal scorers, obviously you chipped in with a couple of goals in your time at Stevenage. I think there was 2 in total, and they both came in wins. So, you can't go wrong with that.
No, I was always all right because I had a decent leap as a central defender, and I wasn't massive. So normally, when you're getting marked, I'll get the smaller ones. So I think, I might have scored 34, 35 goals throughout my career. In the leagues and the cups. Because I always had a decent lead, which it was weird because if I was defending and marking, I would always get their best header because our manager would know me and say, you got to pick up, even if it's Jason Lee's or, the big dealy-headed bowlers or whatever you want, I would be always the one marking them. But then on the flip side, I would never get marked by one of them. So I always managed to sneak around the back and pop up with a goal here and there, which is always nice for a central defence. Maybe it kept me in the side longer if they thought I was crap, but give me an extra chance because I'm a danger from set pieces.
And of course, on the back of that season as well, the club, we just narrowly missed out on playoffs, getting playoffs, and it wasn't too far off. And then at the end of that season was Graham Wesley coming in, wasn't it, as well? When different manager completely to Peter Taylor.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, he has, success at that level. But for me, that was always the end when Graham came in. I'd always worked for, league clubs, established league clubs, and, they always had a code of conduct and an ethic to what they did and team morale. But I think, Graham's style was about winning at all costs, regardless on whoever fell by the wayside, and that man management thing or respect for the player. I didn't quite think he had that, or I didn't believe he would have that. So that was a time for me to go outside and go somewhere else. I think I might have left Stevenage and gone. I might have gone. I can't remember if I went back to Crewe first or Northampton. I've even been Wrexham from Stevenage. I can't quite remember, but I managed to go back and start playing in the leagues, in League 2, League 1. And so I knew I was always good enough for that level. But
it was, you've just looked now, it was Wrexham was your next club after Stevenage, yeah?
Yeah, so that was with obviously Dean Saunders, who I'd played with at Bradford.
Yeah.
I think I went on to play quite a few games for Wrexham after that campaign. And obviously Graham probably went into Stevenage and had success, which didn't surprise me either, because at that level, he knows how to rally his troops and find the players that are successful for him and the way he likes to play football.
Yeah, I'm just looking through this squad as well now. Of course, AJ was in goal, Barry Fuller, Scotty Laird at left back, Dobson, Stuart Lewis, Pete Vincenti, Callum Willock, Darryl McMahon. They're all really good players, aren't they, as well? As Fred Murray was in that squad, Tess Brownball, obviously Titus's brother. It's lots of good names there.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of them you mentioned would have left Stevenage and gone to play back into the league. So definitely the squad was strong enough to do better, and I think that was the reason why probably Peter decided to leave, because we underachieved and we had the capabilities to do a lot better. So it was disappointing, because I think Peter came with a big reputation. The players that were being signed and were on the books already were better than what they should have. I mean, you mentioned Scotty Laird there. He went on to do well. Barry Fuller, I think, went on to Gillingham maybe after there to play a lot of games in the league. Fred Murray would have gone on to play in the league after that as well. There was plenty of talent in that side. So it was definitely a disappointing campaign of when I was there, and I'd not really had a lot of not success at clubs before, so that was probably one of the times that I felt we should have done better.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at that back line, obviously Ronnie Henry was kept out with this game against Droz, and he was on the bench, and it was yourself and Mark Harbour, the two centre backs, and then Lairdy and Baz in the two fullback roles.
Yeah, then between us there, I wouldn't know exactly, but I've played over 400 odd games in the leagues and the cups. All together, we'd probably be pushing between. So four of us there, you'd be pushing 1,500 games. Maybe.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Certainly good enough at that level to keep clean sheets and be a good foundation for the team to be successful.
Absolutely. And of course, with Ronnie Henry, he's still involved at Stevenage as well. He's working with the under-18s now, and that's great to have, not just the club's record appearance holder, but somebody that's been there and done it and, helped the side to promotions to help out with the academy and the younger lads coming through now as well.
Yeah, that'll be great for them. I mean, there's nobody that knows more about Stevenage than him. He was always a bubbly lad as well in and around the dressing room. He was always vocal. One of the main lads getting involved with the banter or being, at the forefront of what was going on in and around the club. So, if anyone for the young lads to learn off from an experience and advice perspective, he's definitely the go-to. And it's always nice when ex-players are working in the club and around the club, because they've got many stories to tell, and he's got some good success ones as well. He's probably been at Wembley a few more times than me, and I'm glad he's working back for the club.
Yeah, of course, he was the first captain to lift the FA Trophy at Wembley as well. He was the captain of that side, so I'm sure that's probably been mentioned probably 5 times a day.
Yeah, I just hope he's got his barnet cut these days, because I always remember him with the big long flowing locks. So hopefully he's trimmed that up a bit.
No, I think it's still the same. To be fair, I think when you get rid of Ronnie's hair, you get rid of half of Ronnie. So
nice. Nice that he's back.
Also, let's just have a look here now. So we touched about the FA Trophy a little bit, and of course, let's just have a look here. The club have always been sort of very community based as well. There was all the stuff that was done during lockdown, and was that something that you were a part of, and that squad, was it sort of stemming from that squad a little bit, and from before that squad as well, and sort of getting involved in that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it was always a family orientated, like you mentioned, community club. It always had a nice feel. All the ground were massive. It was always nice and close, and the fans were vocal, and it was always nice and tight knit. They certainly, stressed their disapproval if it was a bad game, but they also got right behind the team as well with vocality. So it was nice, and it always had that feel to it. And I'm glad it's still going strong. I actually was speaking to Curtis about it the other day, and he was saying it's got everything to be set up to be a successful club and do well within the leagues. He said the training facility they've got now, he was singing its praise. I've not seen it since they've had the new one or the new development, but he was telling me how good the facilities are now as well.
Yeah, the facilities are second to none. Obviously, the stadium's now been developed a bit more as well, and the club's been, an established league club for the best part of 10 years. It has been 10 years now, so plenty of time there. And even in that time, there was, the rise up where the club were on the verge of getting promoted, even, into the championship. So that would have been massive for somebody like Stevenage to get, that high up and to be competing against those kind of sides. And, whoever it was that come down from the Premier League that season, it certainly would have been, a different kind of atmosphere for Stevenage fans to go and see that than, the likes of Droylsden away or something like that, from many years back.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've obviously followed them and always kept my eye on them since I went. And I knew that they were doing well. And like you mentioned, that one sticks in the mind. I remember they were close to the Championship. That would have been fantastic. But they've worked hard. Like we just mentioned, touched on that the facilities are fantastic, and that's testament to the club. And every bit of success they've had has helped them, strive and build those facilities. And I presume, and I'm sure it is, because I think Curtis mentioned it's still Mr. Wallace. I think he was still the chairman. I think he's obviously put a lot into the club, and it doesn't surprise me that they've had a lot of success over the last 10 years.
Yeah, Phil Wallace is still in charge of everything. He's still the chairman there, of course. And of course, the whole sort of season this season has been another season really of disappointing results and a bit of disappointment in the FA Cup in the weekend as well, going out to Yeovil. But Paul Tisdale has now come in. That was his first game. And, it's just a matter of the fans really getting behind him now. And sort of, we've got a massive week this week. You've got Scunthorpe tomorrow and then Carlisle. And they're two sides that are, sort of competing with us at the moment at the wrong end of the division.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, managing in Tisdale, been there and done it as in the league regards managing teams and accumulating his management games and statistics. So he certainly knows what to do and how to get success. I'm sure they're in safe hands now, and hopefully they'll start pulling away and doing well in the leagues. The Yeovil one, it's always been a tricky place to go. Yeovil, it's one of those horrible places that seems to take a couple of days to get there. Can be tricky. So I've played there myself before, and I wouldn't look too much into that. It's just one of those things that happens. But now they can concentrate on the league and start climbing up and doing well in that and getting a good return. But I'm sure the manager's going to have a bit of a successful time there, and I'll be looking at the results and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, hopefully it's something that he's able to get the squad playing relatively quickly now and get the results that he needs to get up the table, especially with these massive games this week. As for what else are we going to say here? So obviously from a managerial side of things, how important is it to have that kind of blend of sort of youth coming through and the younger names alongside the more experienced heads that have been there and done it as well? Because obviously, you've been in that situation at Man United as a younger one, and then obviously later on in your career, you would have been there as a more experienced head and somebody that has been there and won things.
Yeah, I think that there's different sides. Obviously, you need a balance. You need a bit of know-how. With your younger players, you'll get more frequent mistakes. Your experienced players have made a million mistakes before, and they they remember them and they eliminate them once they've done them a couple of times. But the younger ones is always that. Normally the younger ones have been at the club for a while. They've come through the academies, and there's always a bit of a rapport, and there's always a fans association or likability to the young, exciting players that are coming through. You only have to listen to songs, and he's one of our own, and all that kind of stuff that they sing, and they really enjoy seeing players come through the ranks and getting into the side. So it's there's two sides to it really. You need experience and know-how, but you also need excitement and young players that the fans can relate to and enjoy as well. But it's just getting that balance right, which is the one. There's more durability, I suppose, in the experienced players. We know that the Football League has 46 league games plus your cup games. It's a long season. I'm pretty sure it's not like Calcutta at this moment in time, and it's absolutely freezing. So you need to be on it, and you get a bit more consistency with the experienced ones, and they're the ones that bring the younger players through, and they're important in the younger players' development. So you definitely need to get the mixture right. But certainly, I can see two sides to having both types of players in the squad. Hopefully, Stevenage have got the right blend at this current moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there is a good blend of younger players there and experience. Stevenage, as you know, from even your time there, have always been good at bringing players through the academy, whether that's to give them game time in the first team for a while or to sell them on for a fee later on down the line as well.
Yeah, I think it's obviously every chairman will be certainly Phil Wallace. I remember him rightly used to like a deal and like a bit of a wheeler deal, should I say. So I'm sure he's pushing the manager to play younger players, because you get a younger player right these days and he gets into your League 2 side, League 1 side, and he bangs in 25, 30 goals. You can stare at £10 million, can't you? No danger standing on your head. So it's always nice to have young players in your squad. I'm sure. Obviously, the chairman is always hopeful, which is probably one of the reasons as well why they put so much money now into the facilities and the academy and the coaching, because everybody's looking for that next, Jamie Vardy, if you like, that comes through the ranks and gets sold for loads of money. So it's certainly nice for fans and chairmen to see that. I'm just looking through the squad now, and it looked like they've got some good young, exciting players, like we mentioned, some good balance as well, and hopefully they can get it right and go back to where they want to be, which is, I'm sure, top of the end of League One, trying to get into that Championship position.
Yeah, 100%. And you just mentioned there, obviously, about becoming like the next Jamie Vardy. Well, from a Stevenage point of view, it's more like obviously the next Ben Wilmot or George Boyd. So still plenty of good names there, even Steve Morrison as well.
Yeah, I think with Steve, obviously, he went underneath to Norwich and do well. He ended up playing for Wales as well at international level. So, he's got to be one of the bigger ones that's gone on and made a success for himself. But it's always the strikers that get all the glory in it. No one ever talks about the centre halves. So let's keep trying to fly that flag for the central defenders. Let's hope somebody else goes and does it from your defensive positions. I know you've got Scott Cuthbert that's the captain. I think he's only 23, 24. He's probably got a chance of.
Well, Scott's at the other end of his career. He was with Luton. He's actually, I think he's about 36. I'm 35, 36. I'm not too sure, but he's older. He's more down that end. It's sort of more Ross Marshall and Terence Van Kooten that are the younger ones.
Right. That's the one I was thinking of, actually.
Yeah.
You've got a chance. I think you've got. I'm sure you've got I think Luke Pross might be there.
Pross is there. Pross is vice captain.
It was a Port Vale, He might have played with him, which is where I left.
Okay.
I think he was a young lad, possibly a young lad coming through at Port Vale when I was there, and that would have been a club I ended up signing for, obviously Stevenage from. So
yeah,
I remember him from the Port Vale days.
Yeah, Pross is there. I'm sure.
33, something like that.
Yeah, no, I was just saying. I'm sure you probably might have come up against Ben Coker in your career as well, left back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. And who's the Portuguese lad you've got as well?
Yes, Bruno Andrade.
Yeah, how's he been doing for you?
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's recently only just sort of been signed not too long ago. Really, I think it was after the season had started. So yeah, he's he played against Yeovil, and it's his second spell with the club. So obviously he knows the place, he knows the club, and just hopefully now Tisdale can get the best out of him, because we've got Elliot List, the goal scorer, that's got 12 goals already, which at this stage of the season is exceptional. And then when you've got people like Bruno to assist him, then that will certainly go up to probably 20 plus before the end of the season.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm sure they'll do well. Just got to get over this bleak winter that's coming your way, mate.
Yeah,
and that's I keep reading about that every day. We're getting a lot of snow coming, and it looks like it's getting worse. But
we've not had any yet. It's cold, don't get me wrong, but we've not had no snow here yet, not properly. And if it lasts another 2 weeks, I'm fine, because I'm heading out to Dubai for Christmas anyway, so I won't mind that.
Oh, that's not too bad. I just flew through there actually. To get to India, so it's always a nice place to visit. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit different to Stevenage, but no. Go on, mate.
Stevenage has always been that place between. I just remember it obviously from Northampton and Cambridge, and it's kind of that little triangle between the three, but certainly got a great catchment area, and I know the fans are passionate as well. Just hopefully you can get it going again.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was your own sort of relationship like with the fans as well? I suppose that's probably one of the last few questions just to wrap it up with, because the Stevenage fans, as you mentioned earlier, are very, very passionate, very vocal. Whether it's in your favour or if the results aren't going against you, then you certainly know that as well. But then, what was your own sort of relationship like with the fans? Did you?
I think mine was obviously I came in with coming from big clubs, having a reputation of being a decent player, but I think it quite quickly turned regards our results. I think there's big expectation with Peter Taylor being the manager, and there's been a decent budget, spent to try and do better as well. And I think I gave a couple of penalties away that I think were a bit unfortunate, but obviously fans just see you giving penalties away, and I think with the club not doing as well as it should, I think the fans would have been airing the frustration at Peter Taylor, and because he signed me, and I came in as a bigger signing, I would have thought. I think their frustrations quickly came on me. So, but all warranted. If the results aren't going your way, if you're giving a couple of penalties away, I might even give 2 away in one game once. I'm not sure if that was a case. It kind of been made a little bit. But I don't think I was a fan's favourite by any means or stretch of the imagination. But my playing capabilities were always decent. But I think I was one of them guilty of the fans being frustrated with Peter and then taking it out on a few of his signings. I think we had a player coach at the time. Was it Julian?
Junior Lewis.
That was the one, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was probably fortunate that he was at the club because he probably got more stick than me because he was an extension of Peter.
Peter Taylor, yeah.
Junior Lewis playing in the same team as me if he was having a bad game because he'd get it before me. So that was always nice. If I remember rightly, that's what happened.
And then just probably one more really, and that's what sort of piece of advice or what, couple of pieces of advice would you want to give, or would you not want to give, but would you give to somebody that, it might be one of your younger players who's trying to break through at the moment? What kind of advice would you give to them?
I just think, the amount of players I speak to that are older now or experienced now and look back and have regrets in your career, didn't quite apply yourself correctly, didn't do every single thing you could to make yourself a better player. Distractions, it's a lot worse these days. You've got your mobile phones, your social medias, you're going out, you're doing this, the girls. I think, really, really dedicate yourself properly, and give yourself every single chance, eat correctly, avoid the temptations in life and take your career really seriously. And you'll be surprised how far you get. I was at Manchester United with Gary and Phil Neville, and they were never the best players in the world, but they've had some of the best careers in the world because of their application and dedication to taking their career seriously. And the most talented players you see are the ones half the time that I sat there regretting that if I would have done more, if I would have dedicated me more, I would have had a better career, a more successful career, rather than maybe a mediocre one. And obviously we all know about the rewards. And, if you're in football, for me, you should be in it for the right reasons. You're not in it for rewards. You're in it because you love the game. And if you do love the game, then make sure you dedicate your life to it and see how far you go. And if it doesn't work out, you're not blaming yourself, because that's not a great position to be in when your career finishes, that you blame yourself for not maximising it. And I think that's the best advice that a young lad could have, really.
Yeah, it's a great piece of advice to give that as well. So, I think just before we wrap it up, obviously we mentioned earlier that you're managing or coaching, or however you want to put it, out in India now. And obviously you said you've got the bubble starting up as of next week, I think it was. And then the season gets underway in 20 or so days' time. So Boxing Day. So what are your own sort of aims for the season over in India, for the club you're at now?
Yeah, to be honest, without sounding stupid, it'd be to win it. I've managed in this league 3 times before. In 3 seasons at a club that was brand newly formed when I first came, and in my first year we won it. We won the league. My second year we lost it by 1 point on the last game of the season. We conceded the goal from a set piece in the 85th minute, but we did win the National Cup in that year. And then my third year, we won it again. So I know how to be successful in this league. I've been recruited to bring success. So, we're here to win, to be honest. And not a lot of managers like to say that because you don't want to put pressure on yourself. But, I might as well be honest that if we're not competing to the end and we're not in the mix, then that won't be successful. And that's the reason I've come and the reason why the club have brought me here. So aim high and let's see if we can go and go all the way and be successful.
And I'm sure if you are successful again this season, a lot of that, or some of that at least, will certainly be down to the goals of a certain Mr. Guthrie as well.
Yeah, there's a lot on his shoulders. He's not coming here to mess about. He's 29 now. He's at a stage in his career where he's got to be successful for himself to prolong his career. We signed him in the summer. He was at Bradford last season. He was at Port Vale last season. He was getting minimal offers in the summer, and this is a great opportunity for him. And if we're successful and he's successful this season, I'm pretty sure he'll be here for the next 2, 3, possibly 4 years, and then a nice little living for himself. Which at 29 and getting released by Port Vale and Bradford, your options aren't massive in front of you. So he needs to take it seriously, which he is doing, and I've no questions or reservations about his ability. So I'm sure he'll do well if we're successful, and hopefully, there'll be a few clubs wanting to take him if our club doesn't want to increase what they've already done by giving him a contract.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you'll go on and achieve some good things this season. Just quick, just what I'm thinking as well. I know obviously this is a little bit off a tangent a little bit, but when you were at Bradford, were you in the same side with John Dreyer? Was he part of that side at the same time?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, he had Tumble. I used to live around the corner from him. We used to travel in to work together. It was only about 15 minutes, but he'd make it feel like it was about 15 hours because he never shut up. He could talk the iron legs off a donkey, but he was a great lad. I actually, I've spoken to him for years. We had a Premiership reunion a couple of years ago, 20 years since we got promoted. And he was there. I was chatting to him about that. And when I first came to India, I needed a goalkeeper coach, and he recommended me the goalie coach of the Stevenage for years.
Yeah, Ali. I can't pronounce his surname. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say I can't pronounce his name. He worked for me for nearly 3 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
oh, that's cool.
So
yeah.
I know he went back to England after India. He'd been in India after I left. He was here another couple of years.
Yeah.
And he ended up with Dino Mamaria. I think he was his goalie coach at Oldham. And I think there was somewhere else he went to with Dino as well. So he knows that club inside out as well. He worked under Graham Wesley. He worked under Dino Mamaria, like I just mentioned. And that was through John Dreyer that I took him. So Tumble was a great lad. Always funny. Always had the stories. Was always in the thick of everything that was going on in and around the dressing room. And he actually one of the reasons we actually stayed up with Bradford. We towards the end of the season when we looked doomed, thought that we was going to get relegated. We played Sunderland away. I don't think Sunderland had lost at home all season. They might have been 3rd or 4th in the Premier League.
Oh, wow.
And we beat them away 1-0. And it was a goal by John Dreyer. And that kind of gave us a bit of belief going into the last 4 weeks of the Premiership to get a couple of results and stay up by the skin of our teeth. So if it wouldn't have been for... He was actually playing centre midfield at about the age of 35, 36.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for Tumble scoring that goal against Sunderland, I don't think we ever would have stayed up with Bradford. So he gave us a good summer where we all went off to Magaluf to celebrate staying up in the Premier League. So good times.
Yeah, great. And I think his lad Sam is playing in the academy at Stevenage at the moment. So another one who's, I think there's obviously Ben Wilmot was the son of Richard Wilmot, I should say. To correct myself there, who was at the club in the 90s. And recently on what was a different goalkeeper altogether. I think he played at Arsenal or something like that. Did the other Wilmot, but Sam Dreyer is in the Stevenage Academy, so hoping to sort of, have a similar kind of career, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's been getting many tips off his dad. I remember. I think I remember he bringing his lad over to Northampton one stage, playing at under 7s, under 8s, or something like that. So it doesn't surprise me that he's gone on. Let's just hope he's a little bit quicker than his dad.
No, I'm sure he'll certainly, if he can get to the Premier League and keep somebody up in the Premier League, he's done well, to do that and have a good career there. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. I've been on for about 40 minutes, so quite a while actually. But yeah, thank you for having the chat, Ashley. Appreciate that, mate.
No problem, mate. No, thanks very much. Thanks for having us, and wish Stevenage all the best. Let's hope they start climbing that table quickly.
Yeah, massive couple of games this week. So yeah, wait and see. I'll message you Sunday if we've got 6 points. I'll be like, okay, I'm a bit more optimistic about the season now.
Perfect. I look forward to it.
All right, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.